They are now. Welcome back to, well, not the workshop, in fact, the Wicklow Mountains. Today is a very special day. We get the chance to do I suppose we'll say, our very first road review or a test drive of this absolutely stunning 1275 GT. This is actually the very first mark of the 1275 GT, so I suppose you could call it a 1275 GT Mark 1. This car is belonged to a customer of mine, Richard. You'll have seen this car before in the workshop on a HRE Uncut. We rebuilt the engine and gearbox for this car back to factory standards. It is a super low mileage, really clean example of a 1275, and I think it is as close as I in my lifetime are ever going to get to driving an original 1275 GT as it would have been maybe when it came out of the factory. I suppose the best thing to do to kick this off is to just get on the road and get this car out and go for a rip in it. And then I can tell you a little bit more about maybe some of the nuances and get you some maybe good driving footage. Yet another beautiful thing about the 1275 GT, just a sniff of the key and the engine starts. Let's get out and have a little go on these Irish roads. These GTs were the very first of Leyland's touring cars, and the idea was it was a car that basically had the engine of a Cooper S but had grand touring capacity. The power delivery is obviously a 1275 with the large cylinder head. It has a remote gearbox, and it has a really beautiful tight ratio. The sensation of, we're in fourth gear and we have less than 1,000 revs on the motor and 40 kilometers on the clock, and the car just drives so well. If we put the boot down now, it'll pull. Imagine that in any other Mini, not a chance. Just talking a little bit about the style of this engine. So it breathes through a single HS4 carburetor. It has a cast iron inlet manifold and is running the original dyno charging system, inertia starter motor, and a RB1011 regulator. Absolutely bog stock standard, and I honestly can't get over. You guys know I have a 1971 Series 3 Land Rover, and on the drive over here to film this, both myself and Billy were talking about, imagine getting into this car in 1970 when other vehicles on the road were like the Land Rover. Now, don't get me wrong, the Land Rover, an agricultural car, no doubt about it, but these are just so refined. I could happily see myself taking a car like this easily down to the south of France. No problems whatsoever. It truly actually is a 1275 GT. It is a Grand Tourer by all manner of means. So these had a very beautiful gear ratio. It's close together. First is quite long, and if you're not used to it, you kind of tend to think to yourself, am I starting off in second here? But you're actually starting off in first. It's just a very tall gear. The diff is nice and low, and once you get into second gear, this car just turns into an absolute B-road trasher. All it wants to do is pull and drive. We're just after coming off the road a little bit here to get some shots, and we came down a little forest road here, and this is just more of this little GT. It's amazing. This fire road, it shouldn't be able to do what it's doing, but it's just like a little mountain goat just picking its way up along this track. Okay, we have to go slow, we have to go gentle, but it's just amazing. It's, you know, a modern car, I just don't think it could do what this is doing. The hydroelastic suspension is just working so well, nimbly moving across all the different kind of surfaces and just finding traction in all different little places. Getting stuck. We're coming out of the forest now, and we had such a fun time there. We almost got stuck, but you know what? It made its way back out again. It managed to find grip and find its way out. It's what I'm talking about. These are just the most fun. I actually honestly could see a car like this being able to go pretty much anywhere. It's nighttime now, and we're cruising back the country roads of Ireland after having such a wonderful day in this car. We set off early this afternoon with no real plan in mind. We just said we'll go up into the mountains and do a real edit of what it is like to drive this little car. Honestly, I keep going on about how superb it is, and I know that compared to a modern car, it's not superb at all. It's bumpy, it's noisy, you've got to be gentle with your gear changes, you have to take your ease over speed ramps. But we filled this up with petrol today, and we've driven all over the Dublin mountains, got ourselves into some trouble even, got ourselves out of some trouble, and the needle has hardly moved off full. We haven't taken it easy once. We've been driving the car as at normal road speeds, no problems whatsoever, and the car really it's returning good fuel economy. It's very comfortable. The hydroelastic suspension, I haven't talked about that. Because this is a Mark 1 variant of the Clubman, it has what is called hydroelastic suspension, which is a bit like the cone spring suspension, but it has water inside it, and it connects two cones together. Generally speaking, one front and one right, opposite each other. One front, one right, opposite each other. With helper springs at the back and no dampers in the front on this one, because it's completely original. The ride is fantastic. I've heard people say that hydroelastic cars don't turn in. This car turns in beautifully, absolutely beautifully. You do, however, have to be a little bit careful. You have to make sure that you load up the suspension just ever so slightly before you turn in hard, so that the car is settled and ready to go around the corner. But if you drive it sympathetically with that in mind, it is absolutely fantastic. It handles beautifully. Understeer very little until you start to really push it on. And any of the understeer that's happening here is much more to do with the tires than it is to do with the suspension. But to kind of summarize the experience, I suppose, as the day has gone on, both myself and Billy have been in the car driving around, and we laugh and marvel at just how comfortable and how easy it is to really drive this little car. For its first mark of what it was a grand touring car, I think British Leyland nailed it. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that little review and a little look at this absolutely stunning, immaculate 1275 GT. This is a true example of what miniing back in the day was. It's amazing. I've built race cars, I've built auto test cars, I've built rally cars, we've even built drag cars. This is one of the cars that I got involved in, and I remember at the time thinking, I'm not really sure what the owner is doing. Well, my God, after today, enjoying driving this around the beautiful country roads of Ireland, can I tell you what? A dead standard 1275 GT, it is probably the most fun I've had in such a long time driving a Mini. I don't know about you guys, but I think before the light fails and it is too late to drive this car anymore because I have to give it back to the customer, I'm gonna see you guys on the next one and go have a bit more fun.